Hey guys, Garage here, and today we're going to be talking about refrigerators for your off-grid cabin, camp trailer, RV, whatever. So we have a Norcold 2A refrigerator, pretty standard in travel trailers. I know they're coming with a lot of different styles these days that are, all of them are still really inefficient, and a lot of them are kind of junky. But I have the Dinosaur Tech 2A Norcold, which 2A means it runs off AC power, runs off propane. For what we're doing, I've got more videos coming out. My whole travel trailers run off power stations now. I just have some EcoFlow Delta 2 product in there, and that powers the whole travel trailer. And I have solar panels, and I do have a generator if I need to. If I need to charge the Delta 2s really quickly, I can do that. But bottom line is the two-way Norcold is so inefficient. It's got to go. Had to go. It's gone. So the Norcold uses on average 315 watt hours. That's terrible. And so I'm going to be throwing that number around a lot. And I keep saying watt hours, it's watt hour. And what watt hour is a good way, a good measurement and a way to look at how much power draw something uses, especially an item that runs a lot like a refrigerator. So for example, if I have a 20 watt light bulb and I plug it in, I turn it on, and I run it for exactly 1 hour, and that would be 20 watt hour. That's what that is. That's the measurement. It's the average power usage over an hour duration. So if I have a 60 watt light bulb, 60 watt hour. If I have a 60 watt light bulb I turn on and off several times over the hour, all right, maybe it averages 40 watt hour. That's how you look at the measurement. So this Norcold uses basically the equivalent of what my home refrigerator uses. That's a crazy amount of power, and nothing that's going to work with my deltas or the small amount of power that the solar and everything generates. And so I started looking around, and there are these really high-end boondocking fridges. I love that word, boondocking, right? So stupid. Anyways, these off-grid type fridges that have DC compressors. DC is the most efficient way to go when you're doing this kind of stuff, but it also comes at an incredible price tag because these aren't high volume items, and so the price tag is really high on these things. I'm not going to pay $2,000 for a 7 cubic foot DC refrigerator. That, for me, that's crazy talk. For other people that got the money, that's totally cool. I get that. Anyway, so I started looking around, and I'm like, what can we do? And I know there were some efficient. I know some people have done some very efficient residential refrigerators, and there's some drawbacks to residential refrigerators. They can't run off propane, which I don't care about. My phone's beeping. Most of my camping is above 8,000 feet, and propane doesn't work above 8,000 feet hardly at all, or at all anyway, so I don't care about that. And then another downside is residential refrigerators usually have a compressor that is fixed mounted, hard mounted to the refrigerator, and when you're going down bumpy roads, that kind of thing, I hear it can damage the compressor, but in the real world, I've talked to a lot of people that actually have those style fridges. They're working just fine. So it just depends on, I guess, your use case, right? So I started looking around, and I found two gems when I was really digging into power specifications. And the one I chose is this model number. And there's also a slightly smaller one with a smaller freezer that's a single door unit. Here's the model number. All right, so these are made by LG. They're inverter refrigerators, and the really cool thing about these refrigerators is, remember how I mentioned the compressor being hard mounted on the others? These are actually built exactly like a DC fridge, but they're run off of AC. The compressors are suspended on suspension. I've got video and stuff that's going to come at the end of this. You'll be able to see that. But they are suspension compressors. That's really cool. Now, that doesn't mean anything at all. I mean, I found these cool efficient refrigerators, but how efficient are they compared to these, say, the Norcold that I've got, or a typical camp trailer refrigerator? They are way more efficient, right? So way more efficient. That Norcold that I've got in there right now, to cool down, say if I plug it in right now and I need it to go from ambient temperature all the way down to the set temperature, It's going to take 3 hours to do that on AC. 3 full hours, sometimes a little bit more. And what that is 315 watts every hour, averaged for 3 hours to cool that thing down. That's a huge amount of power. Like I said, almost a kilowatt of power to cool it. Now, this little LG fridge that I found, the one I bought, the 7 cubic foot with the 2 doors and all that, that one used 70 watt hours. So I could cool my LG down, this LG refrigerator, I could cool it down 13.5 times for the Norcold to cool down 1 time. So that tells you how efficient that was just on the cool down cycle. The LG also has fans inside where the Norcold and the 2As usually don't. So the fans circulate air, they keep things in a better temperature range, that kind of deal. So I don't know, I'm not an appliance guy. But anyways, better fridge, right? That's the key. Better fridge, super efficient. Now, this is where it gets really, really good on this LG fridge. So I said it took 70 watt hours to cool it down. All right. Once it reached its set temperature, it was averaging sub 20 watt hours to run. That means sub 20 watts, like a 20 watt light bulb, sub 20 watts to run that for an hour. So under 20 watts over an hour period of time. That is sipping power. That is incredible. And the single door, smaller freezer model uses even less power. I've heard those can get down into like the 15 watt hour, 16 watt hour range. That is nuts for a refrigerator that costs about $400 something, $500 something. We're not talking $2,000 for a DC fridge. We're talking like $400 or $500. That's incredible. Now the prices do fluctuate. I've seen them get all the way up into the mid fives. I've seen them get all the way down. I bought mine for $399. They're cheap. So yeah, super inexpensive. And now the cool part was I pulled out my my propane 2-way and actually sold it for so much money. I'm not gonna go into the exact dollar amount, but I sold it for so much money. I could have bought 2 of these LGs minimum with ease, with taxes and everything. So I didn't even pay for this upgrade. This upgrade was free to me. Because there's a lot of people out there that do need a propane refrigerator. I get that. There is use cases for that. That's why they make them. And they needed propane for their situation. So, yeah, so super, super efficient. Again, under 20 watt hours. Works amazingly well with my power stations, my Delta units. And I couldn't be happier so far. I've gone on several trips. No issues with the fridge at all. I turn it on, it cools down very fast. It does what refrigerators are supposed to do. Everything stays cold. I don't have to worry about altitude like with propane. I don't worry about anything really. I just plug it in, it gets cold, I go. That's it, and it sips power. So I think I'm doing this video because I think it's very important. There's a lot of boondockers out there. That word, boondocking or off-grid folks, right? That are very power conscious. That's a real thing. I am too. I'm slowly gearing that way. I'd love to just live totally off grid one of these days out in the desert somewhere. And I've got all kinds of plans. We all have those hopes and dreams, right? Just to get away from the city. And but anyways, this video would be for you. Check out this fridge. Super low power consumption. Plenty of room inside. And it just works. All right, guys. So this is that LG inverter fridge that I was just telling you guys about. 7 cubic feet. Width-wise, it fits right in the hole. I did have to, the trim up top, I did have to raise that a bit to get it to fit, maybe about 3 inches or so. But otherwise, it pretty much dropped in. Now let's take a look inside. Like I said, 7 cubic feet. My trailer is really cramped. It's an RPod 153, so it's kind of tight for me to video in. I'm already zoomed out quite a bit. But here's the fridge itself. So you got LED lighting in it. I feel like a appliance salesman, but LED lighting in it. See up top, it's fan circulation inside for really quick cool down. That's what you get on the inside. And up on the top, you can hear the fans running. I turned it on. It's blowing out very cold air already. Like I said, about an hour to cool this thing down from ambient temperature. And then after that, it just maintains such low power usage. But that's the freezer. Now, Let me close both of these. I am working on a way to lock this a little bit better. I did have it come open on one trip, so there's no hiding that. I got to figure out a way to kind of secure it without just doing a bungee cord or something. But that's one thing it doesn't have going for it. All right, so mounting, we'll talk about mounting on the back side too. What I did is down at the bottom, you'll see this ugly because it's not painted from Forest River. There's some of their mess down there, but on the bottom. But I had to make an aluminum L bracket. I tacked it down here, and we've got a screw in it, so we're held down to this 3/4 wood really good. And this thing doesn't rock like, well, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I mean, there is no movement the way I have this thing locked in, like at all. Now let's go outside. So again, that's the fridge. It's a good looking thing. So here is the outside of the trailer. Now what you'll notice, I've got these two black panels on here, and these black panels are fold down aluminum tables. These are often found like in Australia and on European caravans. They're just called an aluminum caravan table if you want to look them up. And please check the video description. You can order them right from there. Helps me out if you do that. But these caravan tables are awesome. I did pay full price for them. I'm not sponsored or anything. I did order these in. And I don't have to take an outside table with me anymore because this is enough space. I mean, these are actually pretty dang big. Big enough I can fit my Coleman grill on them. But anyways, let me get to the point, the fridge. So my old fridge had a vent out here, and you guys will see that on a lot of travel trailers, just a standard little vent. And two-way refrigerators have to have airflow coming in, and then because they get really, really hot, that's how they work. And then they have a vent up top for the hot air to rise out of. Well, when you do a residential conversion, you do have to block the upper vent. And what I did is just use aluminized tape, just aluminum actual ducting tape up in the top. And then down here, I used a table. I took off the RV vent and I mounted the table up to the side of the trailer. Now I made a cover that I can remove so I can access the back of the fridge. So let me get this cover off really quick. And it will just kind of drop down and sit there. So that is the back of the fridge. Now this is one of those features I was telling you guys about. A lot of people that know refrigerators or refrigeration would automatically dismiss a residential fridge, even though people have been doing it forever. They'll say that it's got no suspension. Going down a bumpy road or a trail, you're just going to destroy the compressor because the compressor is hard mounted to the refrigerator. Not this one, which makes it really, really cool. This is built exactly like a DC compressor. Notice the big rubber isolation mounts on there? It's actually got suspension, and the coils are set up in a spring so that they're actually, they're not going to break and you're not going to crack at the joints or any of the seams here. But yeah, your whole compressor is on suspension. It actually is pretty, I mean, it moves really easy, which is nice. So gas line, cap that off, and then the residential fridge is just plugged into the GFCI. If I don't want this running for whatever reason, if I'm just towing or doing whatever, I just flip off the breaker to the fridge. So it's pretty easy to just have it on or off or whatever you want to do. But that's it. Mounting in the back, I've just I had these brackets just in the drawer. I'm like, this will work. Couple self tappers, and again, it doesn't matter on the self tappers. They're not going to back out because the only motion that they're going to see, or the only kind of shear, is the fridge trying to pull away, go up, and they're not going to let go with the fridge trying to pull up. And then I put just 4 stingers that I had just into the 3/4 wood. So I've got another bracket here, and like I said, you can't see it, but that sucker does not move at all. It is locked in there really good. The electrical on this fridge is extremely simple. You can't see it, but right behind here, you would have to take it out to access it if you ever had a problem. But that panel that's right up inside there comes off. It's just a single circuit board. Very, very simple refrigerator design. And like I said, for $400, I'm not spending $2,000 on a DC fridge so I can go camping. $400, and this thing is getting the job done. I hope it lasts. If I have a problem, I'm absolutely going to update you guys. But so far, this thing just works. It cools down so fast, and my electrical system in this trailer has no problem keeping up with this fridge. I really hope that video helps some of you guys. I made it just so some of the boondocking, off-grid type people have a path to get a super energy efficient fridge. It's not going to break the bank like some of the DC ones. And I totally get it. You're going to get the die-hard boondocky people out there that are like, oh, that fridge, it can't work. It's AC. You need an inverter, and the inverter is going to just destroy all your efficiency, and life's terrible. No, it's not. It's not that bad, guys. Come on. Even with the very poor efficiency on the Delta 2s running low power like that, it still sips power. So, and what I'm talking about for everybody else that doesn't know what I'm talking about, having this fake argument with these boondocking people that don't exist, they're just in my head right now, is the refrigerator takes power, right? But when you have a DC setup, say on a normal travel trailer, mine's not, mine's all set up with power stations. But if you have a DC, just set up, say car batteries, that kind of thing, solar panels, solar charge controller, that kind of deal, just running DC, you have to convert DC back to AC to power this refrigerator. That takes power. You have the inefficiency of an inverter, and you also have not only the inefficiency, but it's just the amount of power the inverter uses just to stay awake and run. And there's kind of a wild spectrum of really efficient inverters and really poorly efficient inverters. So it's something to keep in mind. But here's the deal: even a poorly efficient inverter, like a really bad efficiency inverter, you're maybe going to use like 10 watt hour on that. So your 20 watt hour refrigerator that I'm just talking about, this LG, might use 30 watt hour. That's still freaking sipping power for not very much money at all. So, and in my case, since I'm running power stations in the trailer, I have AC power all the time anyway. So if I'm in the trailer and the trailer is on, which it is when I'm camping and doing stuff, I always have AC power station. So um, they're going to be running anyways. The inverter's on anyways. So I just want to bring that up because that is an important factor if you're doing the ultra efficiency thing to where it's, you're looking at every watt. And I totally get that for some. But for others, our use case, this works out really, really well if you've got an efficient inverter, you have an inverter already running all the time. So, or especially like an off-grid cabin or something where you already have AC, again, like my situation, all the time. So with that, I appreciate you guys. Please like and subscribe. I'll just keep making content on whatever, makes me happy and is happening in the moment. So I'll catch you later.